what we need to do now is talk about the next part of our paper, which is the introduction and conclusion. All right. And so turn with me, first of all, turn with me to page 34, and let's look at this little model again here. So what part have we written already of our report on page 34?
The body.
Exactly. We've written the middle parts, and y'all have actually written several report bodies already. You wrote the elephant body, report body. You could go back and put more paragraphs of each body part if you wanted to. And then you could add an introduction and conclusion. That would be you could make a nice report out of that. You could go back and add an introduction and conclusion to the whale report, make a nice full-fledged report out of that. And so now you've also written the report body for the research report that you're doing. So now the easiest way to do the introduction is, you know what you've said. How many of you have ever done what I mentioned last time, which is you start out writing the introduction and you just tell as much as you can about all the things you're going to be talking about? Has anybody ever actually done that for a paper?
Yeah.
And I used to just, I'd be so disgusted with my papers when I got done with them because the introduction was so boring. You know, it was just, and then there was the body and it was more of the same. And then the conclusion, like more of the same. So you've probably heard this before. Say what you're going to say it, and then say what you said. Have y'all ever heard that as a model for writing a report? In a way, that is true, because we do want to let our people know that are reading our papers what it is that we're going to be talking about. But we don't want to tell all of the facts in the introduction, because then what's the point of the rest of it, right? We don't want to bore them. So here's how we do this. Look at this little model here. In this top section, right next to where it says introduction, we're going to do some very different kinds of things than we normally do. First of all, introduction and conclusion paragraphs do not have topic clinchers, okay? They have a different shape to them. So with an introduction, we start very broadly, and then we narrow down finally to what our three topics are going to be, okay? So we want to, first of all, we want to catch our readers' attention, and we're going to talk about some ways to do that, which is really the fun part. Then we're going to give some time, place, background, and historical information that we didn't talk about in the rest of our body. You see why it's so important to write the body first? Now, has everybody seen some information that they thought was pretty neat about their topics, about their subject, but they just weren't able to, it just didn't go with the information that you had? Is that, yeah. Did everybody notice some?
Put the pink sticky tabs on all that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you can never say everything there is about a subject in the first place, right? Although I think Laura Kate tried, because she's got 300 words. Anybody else get 300 words in a paragraph? No? Okay. You can never say everything there is to know. There's always vast amounts of information, interesting information that you might be able to use, or some interesting background information. And then you're going to, once you talk about that, and that should be the major part of your introduction. And then once you talk about that, you're going to narrow down to your three topics and tell your reader what it is that you're going to be talking about. And you want to have 2 or 3 strong keywords in that last sentence, but it's not a clincher sentence, okay? Because what you're going to do is when you get to the conclusion, you're going to reflect back to that last sentence of the introduction in the last sentence of your conclusion. It's another one of those unity things, okay? So there's just no reason to bore your readers to death. So I want to read you a really super introduction. and just sort of whet your appetite for this. Okay. All right. So listen to this introduction. The trained elephant of India is a perfect picture of the power of psychological captivity. Tamed and utilized for its enormous strength, the great beast stands nearly 10 feet tall and weighs up to 5 tons when fully grown. Its tasks may include uprooting full-grown trees, hauling great boulders, and carrying enormous loads on its shoulder. And yet, when the day's work is done and this powerful beast must be kept from wandering off during the night, its owner simply takes a piece of twine, attaches it to a small branch embedded in the ground, and ties it around the elephant's right hind leg. Reason dictates that the elephant can easily snap the twine or pull the twig from the ground, and yet the owner does not worry, fully confident that when morning comes, he will find the animal exactly where he left them. And he does. I'll admit that upon first hearing of this practice, I couldn't decide which was harder to believe, that the owner was confident or that his confidence proved justified. A beast that can uproot trees is suddenly unable to pull up a twig? What is it about the piece of twine and the small branch that allows them to subdue all of the elephant's power? I soon discovered that it had little to do with the twine around the elephant's ankle and everything to do with the invisible shackles around its mind. My contention is simple. The young adults of our generation are the elephant. Our twine is the 20th century concept of adolescence. Our twig is societal expectations. We stand restrained as a hurting world burns around us, yet our twine and twig are of recent origin. Young adults of the past were not so encumbered. So what does it sound like when you first start reading that this paper is going to be about?
An elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah. So they start out, they do the first thing, they catch the reader's attention. Listen to this. This is actually a essay called Myth of Adolescence by two homeschool guys, Brett and Alex Harris. They're both grown up and married now, but they had a website when they were just teenagers called The Revolution, which is a rebellion against the society's low expectations. So here's the first sentence. We want to catch a reader's attention. So listen to this. The trained elephant of India is a perfect picture of the power of psychological captivity. They did something there. First of all, elephants. Immediately, people go, "Ooh, elephants." I mean, I do anyway, because I really like elephants. Then they said India. India is associated with exotic ideas, okay? And then the power of psychological captivity. Ooh, mysterious. So they did 3 of the greatest hits for capturing attention. They talked about elephants, they talked about India, they talked about the power of psychological captivity. Does it grab you? Yes, that's an attention-grabbing sentence. I wonder how many times they had to rewrite that before they got it. I bet you they didn't write it on the first draft. And they probably didn't start out by talking about elephants on the first draft. They probably started out talking about feeling like teens have been encumbered by the concept of adolescence. And then they probably thought, wow, I'll bet a lot of teens won't read this if I start out this way. I'd better come up with something that's a little more intriguing. Okay, so your job when you write an introduction is to draw your reader in with some really interesting information, okay? Now, you can be thinking about it. So Laura Kate, you were able to actually put some markers on things that didn't fit with your topics?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay. Did anybody else notice any really interesting information about that didn't fit in with the rest of your stuff? Now, it doesn't have to be specifically about your topic. Like, you know, Aiden, you're doing a very specific frog.
Yeah.
But you could talk about weird frogs of the world. You could start talking about other frogs, okay? It doesn't have to be something about your particular frog. There's a lot of really freaky frogs. And so, I mean, you could pick 3 or 4 of those and talk about how the world is full of freaky frogs, blah, 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 blah. You could talk about a few of them, and you could say, but one of the most unusual frogs, blah, 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 blah. And then you'd be narrowing it down to your particular thing, right?
That makes sense.
Okay. So it doesn't mean that you have to, like, their thing didn't start out to have anything to do with their topic, right?
Yeah, no.
Has nothing to do with what they really ended up talking about, because what they ended up talking about was, this is actually an article that we use in level 2 for our first essay. What they ended up talking about was outstanding people of the past who behaved like adults, like David Farragut. Anybody ever read the story of David Farragut? He was the first admiral of the U.S. Navy. He became a midshipman on the warship Essex at the age of 10. At the age of 12, he was given command of his first vessel, sailing a captured vessel crew and prisoners back to the U.S. after a successful battle. Okay, so they go on and they talk about outstanding people in the past, and then the fact that teenagers are still the same. They haven't changed. It's society's expectations that have changed. But what does that have to do with elephants? They made a connection. But while they were making the connection, they gave you some really cool information that really, when I first read this, I don't even know how I found it, but it was the first thing I ever read by these guys. And I stumbled upon it somehow as an adult, as a mother of teenagers. And I started reading it, and I was just like, oh, wow, this is really cool. And then, bam, they got me, you know? So that's what you want to do with your audience. It doesn't have to be about your particular thing. Now, you, Vincent, I mean, I'm just giving you ideas. It doesn't mean you have to do it this way, okay? Vincent, you could talk about Kentucky Fried Chicken and Colonel Sanders if you wanted to. Or you might start out talking about Chicken Run. Did you ever see that movie?
No.
There's a movie called Chicken Run, okay? Or you could talk about the famous chicken on the Tonight Show, if you didn't talk about that already. Okay, so you also could probably find some way to talk about other things besides chickens. I don't know. I mean, but that's just an idea, okay? Let's see, Rosa. What about you? Have you seen any other kinds of information about Louisa May Alcott that didn't really fit?
I don't remember.
Okay. You could give background information about how many times, you could talk about how many times Little Women has been made into a movie. I don't know how many versions there are. It's been very popular to make that story into a movie. You could talk about the Civil War, because she lived during that time. You know, you could start out by talking about the Civil War. I remember the first time I read Little Women, I really kept thinking their father was going to get killed in that war and never come home. I guess it was the Civil War. I didn't even really know what war it was. I just was worried that her dad was going to die. So you could start out by talking about the Civil War. You could start out talking about other famous authors who lived around the same time. I do believe Thoreau was a friend of hers. You could start out by talking about, you know, you could talk about that group of authors that were involved with each other if you don't talk about that somewhere later. So those are some ideas for you. Samra, do you talk about the giant redwoods anywhere in your paper?
No.
Okay. That's always an intriguing thing to people. So if you wanted to start out talking about the giant redwoods, you know, there's a tunnel that goes through. You're in California. Have y'all ever been to see the giant redwoods?
Yeah.
No.
Really? Ooh, so cool. I think there's like a tunnel that goes through one of them, like you can actually drive through or something. So,
I don't think, I
Pardon
don't
me?
think it's, I think there used to be, I don't think it's open anymore.
okay. So, I mean, that's always a fascinating thing to people, you know, just anything that's the biggest or the most weird or whatever always makes interesting information for people. Okay. And Charlotte, what about you? Do you have any background information that you've noticed that you think might do for yours?
Probably because a lot of stuff happened in the 20s.
Okay, that's true. I have a really great, have you read about F. Scott Fitzgerald, or do you talk about him at all in your paper?
No.
Okay, he was the novelist of the 20s, so that would probably be a good thing. Write down F. Scott, F, like the letter F with a period after it. F. Scott Fitzgerald. He could make some great background information because he chronicled the 20s. His stories are fiction, but they're time capsules. That's somebody that was living in that time, and their stories are very realistic because they were living in that time. And there's actually a story, Charlotte, that you might want to read. It was in my 8th grade reader when I was in, 8th grade. Let's see, let me write this down for you, and you can look it up, you can find it online. And let's see, Niece Bob's. This is a very entertaining short story. Has anybody ever read it? And you get to sort of experience the 20s while you're reading it.
What's it called?
Her niece bobs her hair. Okay, so a bob was a short haircut, and you've seen the pictures of the girls in the Roaring Twenties, the flapper girls, the girls wearing the dresses with the fringe, and they always have this short chin-length haircut, right? That's called a bob. And you weren't considered a very nice girl if you got one of those, because girls were supposed to wear their hair long and have it put up, or either wear it down, but you certainly didn't cut it off. Okay, like this would be considered outrageous. Okay, so people made assumptions based on your hairstyle. If you got a bob, they were going to make some assumptions about you that weren't very nice. Okay, Charlotte.
My computer is about to die. So
Do you have a plug-in?
no, I was gonna ask somebody to get me a charger.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, because you
Okay.
need to be here because this is important. Okay. Anyway, y'all should look that up and read it. It's a long, short story. Okay. It is very long, but you will enjoy it, and you will learn about the Roaring Twenties. You'll just kind of like imbibe it from the atmosphere of F. Scott Fitzgerald stories. So it has to do with two cousins, and one is helping the other cousin become popular. That's all I'm going to tell you. Okay, yeah, you will enjoy it, especially if you enjoy short stories. I love short stories because you can read them all at once. You can read the whole thing at one sitting, So, okay. So you might talk about F. Scott Fitzgerald in your intro there, Charlotte. Now, just because I've given you something that you could talk about doesn't mean that you have to start out that way, okay? Does everybody understand that? But what I don't want you to start out with is telling me about your subject in the first sentence. You're going to lose points if you do that, okay? If you do that, you will bore me, and I don't want to be bored. I want you to entertain me, okay? I want you to find something that I will think is interesting. Okay? Just consider me the prototype of all readers. I do not like to be bored in the introduction. Of all the parts of a paper that needs to be interesting, it's the what?
Introduction.
An introductory sentence.
Exactly. And then those next few sentences. Look on page 6 and let's look at our checklist here. Okay? Page 208. So you're going to start out with your first sentence is going to have an attention grabber. We'll talk about that, how to do that in just a minute. Then you're going to have some background information that is not found in your essay body. Okay? And then you're going to state your 3 topics near the end of the paragraph. And I don't want you to give me information about your 3 topics. That's really boring when people do that. Okay? You save the information for the body paragraphs. I don't know what it is about humans that makes them want to do that, but now that you've written your body, you can avoid doing that, okay? And then the last sentence needs to have 2 or 3 strong keywords, and it's not a topic clincher, so we're not trying to relate it to the first sentence of the paper, okay? All right. Let's look at an example. Oh, first of all, let's talk about the conclusion. Now, go back to page 34. Oh, no, let's don't do that yet. Let's talk about ways of starting with something interesting. Page 32. Charlotte, are you going to be able to get
I think somebody's bringing me one.
Okay. All right. Look at page 32. So I like to call this starting with a bang and ending with an echo. So you want to start your paragraph out with a bang. The trained elephant of India is the perfect picture of the power of psychological activity. That's a pretty big sentence to start with there, okay? And then we want to kind of end our paper, if we can, with an echo back to what we started out. Now that, I'm not going to say that you actually have to tie those in. You will tie them in with the last sentence of intro but it's a really effective way. So here's some ways that you can start your paper that is actually interesting. Question: what would it be like to grow up during the Civil War? These were actual sentences for papers that people have actually written in my class, okay? Then there was a character analysis essay about the main character in Cadmus Henry. And then the closing echo of the whole paper was Cadmus Henry is a great piece of historical fiction which helps readers visualize what it would be like to grow up during the Civil War. That would be like the last sentence of the conclusion. Another thing we can do, and some of you may have done this in IEW before, is the 3 very short sentences in a row. Has anybody ever practiced that technique for IEW? Okay.
Yep.
So this was an actual opening for a character analysis of Bernice Bobs Her Hair that I just told you about, okay? She cares for no one. She strikes like a snake. She shows no mercy. Okay, and then it said this is Marjorie, whatever her last name was, the main character in F. Scott Fitzgerald's Bernice Bobs Her Hair, and then she gave some background information about F. Scott Fitzgerald and about how he wrote during the Roaring '20s, and then she got down into the meat of her paper, which was actually about the character. Also, you could start your paper with an unusual quote. When I say unusual quote, I mean it can't be a quote that everybody already knows off the top of their head, okay? Like, what's a quote that everybody knows and repeats all the time? How about the one from Apollo 11? This is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Now, I actually watched that on TV when I was in the 5th grade, and we all swooned, okay? But it's been done, and done, and done, and done. All right? It no longer qualifies as an unusual quote. So where do you find unusual quotes? How could you find an unusual quote?
By looking in a book or something that person wrote.
Well, you could, or you could do this. Let's see. Charlotte, you're doing F. Scott Fitzgerald. Let's see what we can find here. Well, you're doing the Roaring Twenties. Let's do quotes about the Roaring Twenties. Okay. Here's an interesting one. James Cagney. He was an actor. You know, the period of World War I and Roaring Twenties was really just about the same as today. You worked and you made a living if you could, and you tried, they misspelled tried, and you tired to make the best of things. For an actor or a dancer, it was no different than today. It was a struggle. Okay, I don't really know how you could use that, but anyway, that is an unusual quote that people wouldn't normally know. Let's see. Okay. Quotes about donuts. Let's just see if there's any such thing on here. Okay. Quotes about donuts. You've probably heard this one, Laura Kate. Let's see if you have. As you ramble on through life, whatever be your goal, keep your eye on the donut and not on the hole. Here's another one. All you need is love and donuts.
Very true.
Let's see. Oh, this is great. Donuts. Is there anything they can't do? Okay, so when I say an unusual quote, don't pick something that I might already know. Okay? Pick something interesting. All right, let's go back to page 32. Let's see. Similes and metaphors. Those are kind of hard to write, but if you know how to write one, that can be an effective way of starting a paper. We're not going to go into that right now. Dramatic openings and closings are not my favorite, but you might do it. That means at the beginning of the paper, you start out with a very short sentence followed by a longer sentence that enlarges on it. And at the very end of the paper, you do a longer sentence with a very short sentence. So here's an example. The music begins. This is a persuasive essay about ballroom dancing. The music begins, gliding across the mirror-like floor. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers dance with enthusiasm and elegance. And then the closing echo in the very end of the paper, all youth should take part in magnificent ballroom dancing. Let the music begin. Okay. A shocking, surprising, or bizarre fact. All right. Like, for instance, if you started out with a shocking, surprising, and bizarre fact, Samra, I'll bet you there's some website somewhere that says how many board feet of lumber are included in like the largest giant sequoia. That would be a shocking, surprising, bizarre fact. Okay. This was not a shocking, surprising, bizarre fact. I read this when I first started out with IEW. It was in one of their papers. They didn't say shocking, surprising, or bizarre. I added that because I don't want any boring facts. Like, this is not an interesting fact. I was 10 years old when I first visited our nation's capital. That was actually in the book. Like, that's not very interesting. Okay. Mystery. Everybody likes a mystery, right? Deep in the woods, behind a rural Loganville home, exists a place of never-ending adventure and excitement. All right, the power of psychological captivity. So setting a kind of a mysterious mood. Oh, you know what? Aiden, mysterious might work. I'll bet there's some mysterious environments where you find that frog, right?
There's only one place it's found in the world.
Is it mysterious?
It's not really.
It is probably, though, exotic, which is the next thing. Famous, exotic, glamorous, or notorious. People, places, things, or ideas. I guess it's probably kind of exotic. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
maybe a
on
little.
It's high in the mountains somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, it's way up in, it's in a lake in Peru.
Yeah. Try to set that stage for us.
Yeah, it's like the highest lake in the world, I think.
Find some really good descriptive language and tell us about that.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, that would be interesting. Name an exotic place. Somebody tell us the name of an exotic place. What about, some people think Hollywood's exotic. I really don't, but some people do. I think Key West is exotic. And it's a neat place. A notorious person. Notorious means famous for a bad reason. Tell us a notorious person.
Hitler.
That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Ellen.
But there are plenty of other notorious people too. In fact, Charlotte, there were notorious gangsters during the Roaring Twenties, were there not?
There were.
There were gangsters. That would be interesting background information. Yes, Laura Kate.
How do we use the notorious?
Okay, so like for Charlotte, if Charlotte wanted to start out with a notorious gangster, let's see. Let me just do a search here. Notorious gangsters of the 1920s. Ooh. I've never heard this name before. Squizzy Taylor and other notorious Australian gangsters of the 1920s. Squizzy, what a name.
I've never
put him
heard
in
of
there
anybody
just to have
named
a-
Squizzy.
I put him in there just to have a chance to use that name. Let's see. Of course, we all know Al Capone. You know, Al Capone. Seriously, you don't talk about gangsters in your paper, I'm guessing. Is that true, Charlotte?
Yes,
Yes, you do, or yes, you don't?
I don't.
Okay, so everybody likes reading about them. They wouldn't have liked being around them or having anything to do with them. But kind of from a distance, you know, it's kind of like, ooh, that's so weird. Ooh, creepy, you know, which is the kind of, you want, people always want to read about these kinds of things, okay? As long as they don't get too, you know. So gangsters would be notorious, and it'd be a perfect way for Charlotte to start her paper if she doesn't, you know, find something else that she would like to talk about, like F. Scott Fitzgerald. People were so extreme during the 20s, you know. F. Scott Fitzgerald was like the extreme author, and the gangsters were all extreme, and you know. Anyway, that's how you work notorious in. Now, I don't know about anybody being notorious, Laura Kate, for donuts. Obviously, it has to have some kind of a connection, right?
Stole a recipe or something.
Yeah, that would be interesting information. Okay. Glamorous. What's something that's glamorous? Some people think Hollywood's glamorous. I don't really think it is anymore. It might have been a long time ago. Paris. You say glamorous, people think Paris. Also, you know, the Roaring Twenties was a glamorous time, Charlotte, at least for some people, not for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But I think about the beautiful evening gowns and the feather boas and the, you know, the clothing was just, I think, glamorous, you know, not for everybody, of course, just for the rich people. Okay, so these are ways you can start, and let's look at, and then another way is to start with a little story. Like if you look at this next page, here was an actual report that somebody wrote on Joseph Stalin. I did not write this. This came out of an IEW book, okay? Sometimes pastors do this. Now, Laura Kate, I don't know how your dad does his sermons, but it's pretty common in a church for a pastor to start out with a small story.
Yeah, sometimes he tells stories about us.
Yeah, okay. the preacher's kids get involved in a lot of these stories. Our pastor does that too. And then they might finish the story at the very end. That's kind of a popular thing to do. And so what's the pastor trying to do when he starts out with a story?
To like give an example, like to kind of get into something else.
He wants to grab people's attention, right? I remember our pastor, I actually missed this, but I got to read it in a letter that he sent out. This was our first pastor we had at the church we have now. And he actually died this last year. He was old when we got him. He'd already tried to retire 2 or 3 times, and he kept being pulled back into service, but he was wonderful. But he started out his Christmas sermon by talking about how during the 1930s, during the Depression, a father had to leave his family, left his wife and children, and he just set out by foot looking for work, probably took some trains and stuff because, you know, there wasn't any work. And so he finally found some work and sent home, I think maybe $60 for his wife, which was a lot of money then. And so it was right before Christmas, and she laid the money on the dining table, and she had gone out of the room for something and walked back in just in time to see the 2-year-old flinging the last of the bills into the fire.
Oh,
And of course, she just immediately collapsed. That was their money for food. It was their money for Christmas, which it wouldn't have been a really big Christmas anyway, but she went in the bedroom and threw herself down on her bed and just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. So then he went through and he did his sermon about Christmas and about hope at Christmas and all that. And then he finally finished it at the very end. He said, on Christmas Eve, there was a knock on the door, and the mother opened the door to find people from the town with a big box full of all the food and some gifts for the children. And then he wound it up by saying, and that 2-year-old was me. He was the one, and it was his mother. So, of course, we were all, well, I wasn't, because I wasn't there. For some reason, I think we were out of town. Everybody was on the edge of their seats. This terrible story. But he drew his readers in. He gave them the Christmas message. And then he wrapped it up at the very end with a nice finish. Okay. So, sometimes that can be a very effective way to start and end a paper. So like this was a report on Joseph Stalin. In a dingy hut next to a dingy alley, a small boy sat alone and hungry. Suddenly the door burst open and his drunken father stumbled in. He violently beat his son until he became tired and staggered away. This was a typical night in the life of young Joseph Stalin. And then, of course, they would finish the introduction, list the 3 topics, probably childhood, adulthood, and then being the dictator. And then the very end of the paper, the very end of the conclusion, his childhood beatings did more than shape his character. They made a young boy more heartless than his abusive father. So starting with a story and pulling your reader in is a very effective way. Let's see if we have any examples of this. We've got lots of report examples in the book. Okay. Now, Mia started out talking about orcas, which really I should rearrange this. I don't know why I didn't. Look on page 124. Really, okay, 124. So she really should have started out with amazingly on November 26, 2018. Rowan. Okay, well, let's just read what she actually wrote. The immense orca glides through the endlessly choppy ocean. Flying on the wings of the waves, the orca frolics peacefully with the swimmer. In the chilly waters of New Zealand, orcas are proving how placid they can be. Orcas can be gentle. Amazingly, on November 26, 2018, which is what she should have started with, Rowan Verbicus was collecting sea urchins when he met some unexpected visitors, 3 adult orcas and 1 baby. Verbicus, who managed to record the encounter on his GoPro, was flabbergasted. Then in 2018, orcas and swimmer had another unexpected meeting. This time, the family was made up of one adult and two juveniles. The orcas reveled with their new friend, enjoying the play with no apparent signs of aggression. From these experiences, people are beginning to understand more about orcas. Although they have a negative reputation, they are really magnificent creatures because everything about orcas, including their diet, behavior, and life in captivity, is intriguing. Orcas deserve the utmost love and admiration. So there's our 3 topics, and you can see they're highlighted. Now, you're going to highlight yours also. I want you to notice how each of these has a topic sentence that has to do with it. So the diet, she uses the word hunters, actually. Really, she should have used the word diet in there. Then we have behavior in the next paragraph highlighted. And then we have life in cap. Oh, I forgot to highlight that. Some orcas are living free and in the wild, while others use others for humans use others for entertainment. So, so that's her paragraph about life in captivity. Let's look at, oh, that's my only example of a, no, it can't be. Oh yeah, look on page 123. Here's I wanted to lay this one out so you could see how that actually was put together. All right, look at page 123 for this report. It is deadly and dangerous. It is mysteriously malicious. As it is Egypt's most well-known snake, many myths circulate around the Egyptian cobra. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the cobra, which is goddess Wadjet, used as her earthly form, represents royalty, sovereignty, and divine authority and power. Legend claims that Cleopatra used an Egyptian cobra to commit suicide. Belonging to the Elapidae family, this snake is generally unknown out of its native areas. So this is some background about cobras that he isn't actually going to be talking about later in his paper. Unsurprisingly, the Egyptian cobra is very similar to all other cobras since it is in the same family. The Egyptian cobra's scientific name is Naja Haje. It is not prioritized by environmental conservation groups as it is not endangered. Because its habitat is relatively harsh, this magnificent serpent's body and behavior are perfectly designed for survival. So his 3 topics are?
Habitat, behavior.
Okay, habitat, body, and behavior. And you can see those highlighted in each of the paragraphs that follow. Okay, so now let's talk about the conclusion. Go back to page 34, because in a minute we're going to have to work on our Works Cited page. In the conclusion, we're just basically going to go backwards, okay? So you're going to restate your 3 topics. Then you're going to tell what, and you don't have to state them in the same words. I want you to use different words, okay? Tell what's most important or significant and why by using the words most important because or most significant because. And then you're going to use 2 or 3 strong keywords from the last sentence of the introduction, and you're never going to say I or we. Now, this is going to be your opinion about what's so important about your subject. Like, Laura Kate, why are donuts so important?
Because they taste good.
Most importantly, donuts taste delicious and keep the world a happier and friendlier place. Make the world a happier and friendlier place. Now, she's not going to find that in a book, right? But do you think that donuts do make the world a happier place, Laura Kate?
Yes.
Okay. So that's Laura Kate's opinion. It's not one of her 3 topics, right? Okay, so when we say most important, this is what you think is most important, okay? So let's see. What do you think is the most important about trees, Samra?
Well, that they're actually very similar to the human species. And
They're very similar to what?
The human species.
Oh, okay. All right. And so you would explain that?
Yes.
All right. Obviously, you must have a special interest in trees by wanting to write about them. Would you say that's true?
Yes.
Okay, good. Having an interest in something is one of the most important parts. Coming up with a good thing to write about. Let's see. What about chickens? Vincent, what's so great about chickens? What's so important about chickens?
Their eggs and meat.
Most importantly, chickens are delicious at every stage. Whether you're talking about the eggs, the young fryers, or the old hens, right? The old roasting hens. Here's something funny you could start out. You could start out with why did the chicken cross the road? There's so many good why did the chickens cross the road jokes. Like one of the funniest ones is why did the chicken cross the road? Colonel Sanders. I missed one. And y'all, anybody read Ernest Hemingway yet? Y'all are kind of young for Ernest Hemingway, I guess.
I've read one of his books.
Okay. Old Man in the Sea. That's a popular one. He had a very short, terse way of writing. Why did the chicken cross the road? Ernest Hemingway. To die in the rain. Why did the chicken cross the road? There's one that's like, did the chicken really cross the road, or did the road move under the chicken? It was some scientist like Albert Einstein or something like that. There's all kinds of why did the chicken cross the road jokes that would be great. Okay, so when we're talking about the conclusion, we want to, let's just read a couple of conclusions in our book. Turn to 123, okay? So here's restating his topic here, his subject, his 3 topics. Considering the habitat the snake occupies. Notice he did all of his topics in one sentence, and so did Mia, but you don't have to do it that way. You can actually have a separate sentence for each topic, okay, if you wanted to, which is actually what he sort of does in this conclusion. Considering the habitat the snake occupies, its complicated bodily structure makes complete sense. Because its body is so intricate, its behavior is too. So there he got in his 3 topics, okay? As a result of lethal encounters with humans who have perished, this animal is greatly feared. Let's see, did he talk about that? He does talk about it a little bit. Luckily, anti-venom is becoming more available, which is not something that he discusses later, but he did talk about fear. And so he's saying, oh yeah, by the way, at least we have anti-venom. I want y'all to read through these reports, okay? The death toll from cobra encounters is decreasing. In ancient Egypt, the sinister snake was accorded high respect because it was believed to be divine. Now, he said most notably instead of most importantly and most significantly, which is fine. Most notably, although people no longer worship the complex and magnificent Egyptian cobra, it is one of nature's wonders. This maleficent serpent is spellbinding. Okay, notice how he used maleficent. That's a great word. It means evil, intentionally evil. This maleficent serpent is spellbinding. And notice what he wrote for his title. Okay, so he used maleficent serpent for his title. Notice how he tied keywords in from his final sentence to his last sentence of his introduction. Because it is relatively harsh, this magnificent serpent, okay? And so he changed magnificent to maleficent, okay? Now let's look at the next page.
It's in his story here.
Uh-oh, I think Vincent froze.
Isn't his number 4 at the top of his clincher?
Isn't his what?
Isn't his conclusion is the first sentence in his conclusion? Isn't that a wrong number 4?
Yeah, it is wrong number 4. Thanks for pointing that out. I need to fix that. I was so busy working on marking everything, I totally missed that. Although I probably took points off of it when I graded it. Thank you. I need to fix that. I do actually edit these papers. Trying not to lead people astray, but that's one I missed. Thank you, Vincent. Okay, so let's look at the conclusion on, I just stuck a sticker on it, another thing to fix in the next edition. Look at the conclusion on page 126. All right. Now she does make longer sentences for her 3 topics at the beginning of her conclusion. Because orcas are so unique and majestic, they are quickly captivating audiences across the globe. With their diet, which is so diverse, scientists are striving to learn every tiny detail about these wonderful creatures. While orcas have some aggressive behavioral habits, such as playing with their prey to stun or kill them, orcas can play friendly too. However, some people only view orcas as their monetary value. Orcas are living creatures. Used as trained circus animals while being kept in oversized fish tanks, orcas' captive lives are grim. Oh, I need a apostrophe there. When scientists learn more about orcas, the more they can figure out how to make them comfortable in their homes, whether in the ocean. Wait a minute. When scientists learn more about orcas, the more they can figure out how to make, that's very awkward there, but I probably need to fix that. I'm just going to put awkward there so I can fix that. For instance, marine biologists are working hard to ensure the survival of a specific orca species. Known as the southern resident orcas, the population is down to a staggering 73 known individuals, with one of the males missing and presumed deceased. The main threats to the southern resident pods are pollution and loss of food. Actually, she's really going a lot into another topic here, which probably needs to be removed. Astonishingly, the noise pollution from nearby boats can cause orcas to lose the ability to echolocate. Since orcas have poor eyesight, they rely on echolocation to find food. So a loss of this ability is catastrophic. With the exception of southern resident species, orcas seem to be thriving in the wild. Instead, let's see. Where's her most important? I don't know how I managed to get this in here like this. I need to go back and fix this. Don't follow her example. She needs to put most important. Write that at the bottom of there. Most important. I want to see those words, okay? I've got to fix this. All right. So use the Egyptian one as the best example, okay, of your conclusion. Now, I had a lot of other reports in here, but I seem to have taken them out. Now, what we want to do is look at our Works Cited page, which is on page 128. And this is a great Works Cited page. This is what you're going to be putting at the end of your paper, okay? And so, who in here has had to do a MLA? Oh, yes, Laura Kate.
Are you allowed to put a number 6 and number 1 sentence together?
No, did you do that?
Yes.
Oh, no, you're not allowed to. And I don't know why she would have done that, because she's got plenty of both. I mean, she's got plenty of number 1s for sure. So take out that number 1. I don't know how that ended up there. Okay. All right. Let's look at, just take a look at what this Works Cited page looks like, okay? This is, the reason I put this in here was because I want you to see exactly what your paper should be. Works Cited, who is in here has had to do an MLA Works Cited page before? Anybody? No? Okay. All right. So I want everybody to open up your internet. Let's see. I'm going to open up a page and I'm going to send you a link. Okay. Citefast. All right. Okay. I'm going to put this link on the chat and I want everybody to open it. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me open mine now. I'm going to do a screen share. So everybody by now should have your 3 sources. Is that right? Does everybody have 3 sources? Okay. So we're going to go ahead right now. I've never done this before in actual writing class, and I have big hopes for this. Has everybody got this page open?
Yeah, where is the chat? I can't find it.
You don't see
It's up in the right corner.
There we go. Okay, yeah, I found it.
Okay, my chat's down at the bottom, but I found out that people have different versions of Zoom, which I don't understand. It makes things very
All right, I
difficult.
found it. It was hiding. We're all good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why there are different versions of Zoom. It's very annoying. Okay, so what I want you to do first is I want you to go ahead and look up on the internet. Did everybody use an internet article?
Yes.
As one of your, okay. So I want you to go ahead and look your article up on the internet right here, okay? And I'm going to look up an article myself.
I don't think I can access that page from my computer now.
Oh, you can't? Why is that?
Because we have like a block on our internet that you can't just look up whatever.
Okay. All right. Have you, so do you have the title, Vincent, of your paper, of the article there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Did you write down some information on your report organizer?
Yeah.
The easiest way to do it is to actually look up an article. So like if I was going to cite, but you can actually type the title into the bar there, this one right here. You can actually type it in and see, and then hit the search and see if it comes up. Okay, so here is my website. I'm going to cite myself here. Let's see. Article I just wrote yesterday. So did you try typing it in, Vincent?
Into where?
Into this bar here on web, where it says web page.
I can't even get this page up.
Rosa, are you able to?
No, I can't do it without leaving Zoom.
You won't be leaving Zoom. You'll
I
just
tried to, and it says you have to leave Zoom. It says, okay, you're leaving Zoom, press proceed.
Can
Are you on a computer?
Are you on a computer?
Yeah.
Go up to the top left and click the green button to minimize your screen. And then open a new, and then go to the chat and it'll open a new tab for you.
Does that work?
No.
Okay. All right. Is everybody else able to get on the internet?
Yeah.
I just typed in my URL.
Okay. Click on You're Leaving Zoom, Rosa, and see what happens. If you leave, and I'll bring you back in. I mean, you can come back in.
I'm able to get the on my computer, but we're like blocked. We're not allowed to just look up anything.
So it's not going to actually look the article up. It's just going to look up the information about the article. Are you able to do that?
No, not even that.
You can't hit, it won't do a search for you like here. Okay, this is what happens. If everybody's got a web address in, y'all just watch mine, okay? All right, has everybody else been able to put an article name or a web address here? Can everybody else do that?
Mm-hmm.
Like what article?
One of your articles that you used for your paper.
Okay.
Huh?
It has to be the article.
What?
Does it have to be one of the articles or book?
Well,
Mine
hopefully
said
that-
it's a valid URL.
what did you say?
Mine said that was not a valid URL.
Huh. Okay, do a screen share with me so I can see that, Laura Kate. I don't understand that. Did you just now get it off of the website?
What do you mean?
Did you find the article on the website and copy and paste the URL?
I did. I have it written down in my book, and I typed it in.
Okay, can you find it on the website and then just do like this? Just copy and paste it.
Yeah,
Okay, try doing that.
I will. Yes.
Okay, let's see. Are you still there, Rosa?
Yeah,
hear
it
me?
let me do it. I pressed leave Zoom and then I'm still here.
Oh, good. Okay. So, Rosa and Vincent, you can't put in something right here and then do search. Is that true?
Well,
I might be able to. What should I put?
Okay, well, go ahead and try it.
What should I put?
Type in the name of the article that you used and the website and see if you can bring it up. Okay, so like if I wanted to do, if I had an article called, like this one yesterday, Outline of Nuclear Energy, Outline History of Nuclear Energy, that was the title of the article. If I type that in there, then it would probably bring this up. Let me save my citation first, okay? Okay. Has everybody been able to bring up something, one of their articles?
Yeah, I brought up something.
Okay, is it one of the ones that you used?
Yeah.
Okay. Rosa?
I put in one of my articles and it says we cannot find the page.
Huh. Okay, you're going to have to actually find the article and then copy and paste the URL, okay? Is what you're going to end up having to do. Okay, so
I don't know what my thing was. It should be. Oh wait, it is here.
Okay. Also, okay, try this, Vincent. What's the name of your book?
My book?
Yeah.
The name of my book is just Chicken.
The name of your book is what?
Chickens.
Chickens, and who's the author?
Sarah Swan Miller.
Okay, so click on book, Vincent, and put chickens, and then put Sarah Swan Miller, and see if it'll bring your book up. Okay? I'd like everybody to do at least one of their resources while we're together. Okay? Charlotte and Samra, have y'all been able to bring up your article?
I can't figure out how to do it with the article.
Okay, let's just do your book then. Okay,
Okay.
what you're going to have to do with your article is probably find the thing, like right here. You see I've got an article up here. And then I can click on it and I can copy and paste it into the web address here. Okay. So that's probably how you're going to have to do it. I'm going to make a little video to show y'all about this. And you don't have to do this right away. This is toward the end of the writing period, but I do want everybody to try to find something. Okay, Vincent, did it come up?
I'm looking. Do you put the author right after the book name?
Yeah, I'd put chickens, and then I would put yeah, the author's name.
Okay.
Rosa, what about you?
Me?
Yeah.
It said Citefast cannot find the server at www.britannica.com.
That's really strange. Maybe it's because you're blocked. I don't know. Is that what it's saying for you, Vincent?
I found my book here.
You did find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do a screen share with me. Let's see. I have to enable the screen share. Hold on a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I have to stop that. I have to do.
I'll try a different one.
Huh? Did you find it?
For
your voice is distorted. Say it again.
What do you put for a book?
Put the book title followed by the author. Okay, Summer, were you able to find one of yours?
Yes,
Did it come up after you typed it in?
it did.
Okay. Charlotte, did you type in a?
I got it. I got my book.
Okay. Laura Kate,
Yes.
what did you bring up? One of the articles or the book?
One of the articles.
Okay. Aiden, did you bring up yours?
I brought up an article, yeah.
Okay. You still working on that, Rosa? And Vincent, you said you
Oh, I
found
found
yours.
mine.
Okay. Did it come up? Okay. Pardon me?
I found my book.
Good. And when you clicked on the search,
I found
it
my
brought,
book, but not a webpage.
okay, well, you may have to have it unblocked to do that. If you were able to, if you able to bring the website up, you should be able to copy and paste the URL from the actual website and then copy and paste it into the bar. Okay.
Okay, I have mine pulled up and it says please verify and modify the information below.
Okay. So we're about to do that right now. Okay. So once you click on this little magnifying glass,
Okay.
you get this notice that says, please verify and modify the information, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So it's different for books than it is for websites, but here's a website. Okay. So you notice that some of the information is missing. Now, if there is an author, and all of my articles have authors, okay, maybe I should find one that doesn't have an author. What about, well, I don't want to waste time doing that. Okay, so the author on my website, of course, is moi. Okay, so I'm going to type in my name. If there is not an author, I want you to leave it blank. Okay, sometimes people will put in editor, like a lot of the Britannica articles, it'll say editors of Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica, Rosa. Can you hear me, Rosa?
What? No.
Lots of times on Britannica, it'll say editors for contributors. I don't want that here. The only thing I want here under author is an actual name. Okay. Sometimes website articles do not have actual names. Does anybody see that theirs has a name? But you have to be a detective. You have to look for this. Okay. So I happen to know that I'm the author of mine, so I'm going to put myself there. I just made this article yesterday, so that's the date that pops up. Sometimes you have to look around on an article to find that. Here's my title, Featured Writing Student Michael Bowen. My website is Writing to Learn. You only put the publisher if it differs from the name of the website. Actually, the publisher of this is WordPress. So I'm putting that in. And where it says date accessed here, click on today. Now on books, it doesn't give you this. You only need date accessed for an internet article, okay?
Okay.
I would just do whatever day it is you're working on it, just click on today. And then here's the actual web address for my article that I'm doing. And now it's showing me. It brought it up in perfect order. Kimbrel, Jennifer, period. Here's the title, Featured Writing Student, Michael Bowen. Here's the website, Writing to Learn, WordPress. Here's the date the article was written. Here's the URL, period. And accessed 16 November 2021. All right. So once I've done that, I'm going to click Save Citation. And there it shows up in perfect order. Okay, so everybody try to fill in your information as best you can. Anything that's missing. Okay, here I'm going to do a book. Let's do hard things. Paris. And I happen to know that this is the right book. So I'm going to click here. Actually, I had the 2008 version, so I'm going to click that one. And it brought up two authors, Alex Harris, Brett Harris. It might not always bring up the author. You might have to put it in. It's a print format, and I'm doing the whole book. It was published in 2008. There's the book title. There's the publisher. If it's a different edition besides the very first time it was printed, then you put whatever edition it says that it is, okay? So here's my citation created for that. Notice it doesn't ask you for a date accessed when you're talking about a book, okay? So I'm going to do Save Citation, and it shows right up here in my Works Cited list. Now, the neat thing about this is it puts it in, automatically puts it in alphabetical order. Okay. I was able to bring up Encyclopedia Britannica, Rosa, so I'm not really sure why yours wouldn't, unless it's because it's blocked. If your websites are blocked, you might have to unblock it to work on this. Okay. Does that make sense? Can you hear me, Rosa?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's right because I can do the book.
You don't think it's right because what?
Because I could do the book.
Okay. Well, I'm not really sure, but I brought this one up yesterday from one of my students' papers without any trouble at all. Now, Rosa, it's going to tell you when you bring it up. When you look at Encyclopedia Britannica, it'll say citation information, and Encyclopedia Britannica will stick editors of Encyclopedia Britannica as the author. I don't want that. Most of their articles do not have an actual author listed. So you start out with the name of the article, okay? All right, has everybody been able to bring up their source and fill in the information? Can I see yours, Aiden? Do a screen share with me.
I haven't gotten all the information, but I've gotten what I could find.
Okay, what are you missing?
So I'm missing here. I'll screen share. Hang on.
Okay.
Let me find it. Desktop 2.
I'm going to open up a Word document because I'm going to show y'all how to do
Let me
this.
check.
Okay.
Hang on.
For the
It won't let
internet-
me screen share.
It won't let you?
No, for some reason it's a security thing. Hang on, let me see if I can change it.
Well, I fixed it, I think, so that everybody should be able to do that.
No,
Okay.
it's like my own computer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
For the internet page on our citations, what should we put in for publisher? Because I don't really know.
unless, one thing I really like about Citefast that isn't the case with EasyBib, which is what I was having everybody use. I don't know why I can't get back to my Zoom here. Oh, wait a minute. I know why, because I'm on screen share. Is unless it's a different publisher than the organization that actually made the website, then you don't put in the publisher. Okay, so the only reason I know that mine happens to be WordPress is because it's my own website. Generally, you just leave that blank. Publisher is left blank for websites, okay? Because people self-publish all the time now. Okay, they create their own web page. They don't go through a different publisher, etc. Okay. Okay, so somebody screen share with me and let me see what I want you to do. Save citation, and you should come up with something over here on the side about your source. Has everybody got that far?
Yeah, it says I'm screen sharing.
It says you cannot screen share while someone else is.
Oh, okay. So we can only do it once at a time for each. Okay, who is this that we're looking at?
Probably me.
Okay, click. Let's see. URL, date access, website, document title. The title of your document, take out that web, that amphibia web, that's not part of the title, that's the website title. Take that out and take that hyphen out. Okay. There's no author available, is that true?
Hang on, I think I have a page. Let me see. Here we go.
Lots of times there's not. Oh, wait a minute, you're typing it in the wrong place.
Dang, okay, hang on.
You got to go up to the author. Put her last name over there where it says last name.
Okay.
Because what it'll do, if you don't stick it in there, it'll put it in the wrong order. So you got to put the last name where it says last name. Okay. All right, I think that's all you can find. Do save citation. And there you go. Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to stop screen sharing.
All right, I'm off.
Somebody else screen share with me. Okay, go ahead, Laura Kate. It's funny because it says on here that multiple participants can share simultaneously, but I guess that's not really true. Okay. Oh, look, she's already done that. Okay. So let's see all the things that you filled in. So there is no author, correct?
I do not believe so. No. No, there is not.
Okay. So the name of your website is The Leading Bakery Ingredient. Is that really all of that really is the name of the website? I think it's just Dawn Foods.
That's what I think.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and take that out. Y'all have to be a little bit of a detective, like I said. You might have an extra space in there. See if you do. In Dawn Foods. There you go. Okay. You did access date. There's your URL. And go down a little bit. Okay. Now do update. And there you go. All right. Okay. Stop screen sharing. Somebody else screen share with me. Samra, you ready to screen share? I'm sorry, y'all. Is there anybody that needs to go right this minute because we are over time here?
Do I click desk?
Huh? What, Samra? I think she's frozen. Somebody else go.
Should I click desktop?
Click what? I can't really hear you. You're muted. Do you see where it says screen share? Y'all, where did you find your screen share button? I think my screen is totally different than
At the top, it says share content, and then you push screen, and then you just kind of work around with it till it'll let you.
Oh, do you see that, Samra?
I do.
Okay.
Um,
If you saw me helping the other students fix theirs, go back and see if there's anything you think you might need to fix on yours. Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's see. Yay. Okay. All right. So Peter Wolben. All right. It's a book. It's print. 2016, The Hidden Life of Trees. Publisher Greystone. Okay, that looks like it's probably fine. Let's see. All right, so we've already got this up here. She's already saved it. Okay, good job. All right, you can stop screen sharing, Samra. And let's see. Vincent, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay.
Try something here. It won't let me.
Won't let you screen share?
No.
Okay. Do you see anything that you might need to fix on yours? I'll show y'all how we're going to do it. Let's see. Charlotte, are you able to screen share?
I think so.
Okay, give it a try.
I don't know how to do it.
Have you brought up your citation? Have you clicked save citation yet?
Yes, I have.
And did it come up on the sidebar like you
Yeah.
saw with the others? Did yours come up on the sidebar, Vincent?
Yes, it did.
And what about you, Rosa?
Yeah.
Did yours- Okay. All right, let's move on then. Let me show you what I'm going to do with mine. Okay. You're going to do all of them and end up with a list like this. It'll be automatically in alphabetical order by either the last name or by the title. There's a last name. There's a last name. There's a title because there was no author. There's a title, no author, title, no author. Okay. Now this is the cool part. Go ahead and open up a Word document. And let me show you what I'm going to do, and then you can do it too. So it never worked right on EasyBib, but this one works right. I want you to watch this. And what you'll do is you'll put this on the very last page of your paper on a separate page. So you'll hit copy and paste here, and then it'll bring this thing up, and it'll say select all. Once you've got it all fixed up, you do select all, and look, it's in perfect order, because what this has to be done is it all has to be double spaced. It has to have this exact title. It has to have this exact indentation, because what your readers are looking for your different sources. What they want to do is run down the side of it and see where each new one starts. That's why it's indented so weird. Normally we indent first on the first line, and then we don't indent on the other lines, right? But when we do Works Cited, we don't indent on the first line, and we do indent on the other lines. So it's strange. So you click select all, and then we're going to hit Control C, which is how you copy, or either you can right click your mouse and copy. Does everybody know how to do that? Right clicking the mouse or either hitting Control C to copy. And then you go to your report put on an extra page for your report, and you do Control V or either paste, and look at that. This is a perfectly formatted, perfectly correct Works Cited page. It is so much easier to use than EasyBib that it is absolutely ridiculous. EasyBib is not easy. Citefast is much, much easier. Okay, so this is how you're going to do all three of your sources. Anybody have more than 3 sources?
I do.
I do.
Okay, all right.
do.
So for every one of your source, you're going to keep going through and doing what we just did. Try to fill in as much of the information as you can. Okay, and if you have trouble when you get to that point, I want you to let me know. Now, I'm going to make a little video of this, and I will post it and send y'all a link to it before you actually get to the place in your paper where you're going to have to actually be making your Works Cited page, okay? Works Cited is a big can of worms. It is so serious in college that it's just ridiculous. So thankfully, this is the only paper we do it in for level 1. So, but I'm so excited about this website. It's so much more sensible than EasyBib was. EasyBib is not easy, and then you have to keep watching all these ads on top of it. So I'm really excited about this. And when you get ready to make your Works Cited page, we might just have an extra class session if anybody needs help. You can meet me on Zoom and I'll help you, okay? You're gonna need to know You're going to need to actually find your web articles on the web and copy and paste the address from that. That's the most likely way to do it, okay? Actually copying and pasting the URL from the actual page that you used. All right, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, it's hit or miss sometimes finding web articles. You know, the web's just so vast. So that's the easiest way to do it. Now, you guys, we don't have class for 3 weeks because Thanksgiving, okay? Y'all don't get too excited now, but you do have 2 weeks worth of work to do, all right? So if I were you, I'd get up tomorrow and start on my homework just like I would if it was any other normal class week. Do not wait, because lots of times kids think, oh, I've got plenty of time. I've got 3 weeks. I just won't start on my homework yet. And this is not an assignment to put off, okay? Because you're doing a new kind of paragraph, 2 new kinds of paragraphs, introductions, conclusions. You're having to make the Works Cited page. So don't get behind. Whose family takes off all of Thanksgiving week? Does anybody's family do that?
Yeah, we'll be down in Florida for it.
We always took off all Thanksgiving week, and I did not want my kids to have to worry about homework during Thanksgiving week. So that's why we've had this extra week worked in, okay? But that doesn't mean you have extra time. It just means that you get to take off Thanksgiving week, okay? Now, if your family is one of those families that does homework Thanksgiving week right up to the bitter end, then you go ahead and do it. I think that's next week, right? Isn't that like next week, Thanksgiving? Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't keep up with all the dates. Some families do homeschool right up through, you know, Thanksgiving week. And if your family does it that way, go right ahead, and then you'll end up with lots of extra time at the end. But you won't end up with extra time at the end if you don't work on it this week and you don't work on it next week. You will be behind, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Okay? All right. Any questions before we go? Oh, some people have learned in IEW that you don't have to do style in the introduction. That is not true. Of all the paragraphs that need to have great style, it's the introduction and conclusion, right? Mm-hmm. So all 6 dress-ups, all 6 sentence types in all 5 paragraphs. Okay? All right, Rosa, you had a question?
There's no assignment 7.
No, that's Christmas break, and I don't give homework over Christmas because I didn't want to do homework over Christmas when I was growing up. It ruins Christmas vacation. Yeah, so after we have class 7, at class 7, we'll be starting to talk about story structure, which is really fun. That's what we do for class 7. I read a story, and we actually analyze it on a story chart. And because when we come back from Christmas break, we will be getting ready. We'll get into the fiction part of the writing class, which some of y'all like fiction a lot better. Who likes fiction better than reports? I like writing reports better than I like writing fiction. Do you, Samra? I see you didn't raise your hand on stories.
I think they're easier.
Reports are easier? Yes, I think so too. You know, you get some good books, get some good articles, get a lot of interesting facts, put it in a nice structure, style it up, ta-da! But if you don't like writing stories, Samra, you'll probably like writing them the way we're going to do it in this class. It's much easier than any other way to do it. So it's really fun. Even I am not a story writer, have to say it is fun. So, okay, you guys. Well, I hope that you have a great Thanksgiving. I've been getting some good questions from y'all, so please do not hesitate to contact me if you have questions or if you need help, okay? particularly when you get to do the works cited thing. And oh, change that on your assignment sheet, because I think I say on the assignment sheet Easy Bib, because I just found this website. I mean, seriously, just last week. Let me see if I said Easy Bib. Okay, look on page 207 on day 5.
It said Easy Bib.
Yeah, it says using Easy Bib. Just scratch that out. I'm going to make a new video. Okay. We're not using Easy Bib. It's going to be Citefast, and just write Citefast in there in case you forget the name of the website. Citefast. It's a great website. I will be looking at your papers hopefully today to let you know if there's any big changes that need to be made with your body paragraphs. I'm not really expecting any big changes that need to be made. Okay. And other than that, I hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for hanging in there with me. We're 20 minutes late. That did not go as smoothly as I had hoped it would. I'll know better next time. Okay. Any other questions before we go? No? Okay. All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Get your work done early so you can enjoy Thanksgiving week, okay? You can enjoy your little extra break. Don't let it hang over your head. That'll ruin everything. You ever notice that? Yeah, get as much done as you can before your family takes a break, okay? All right. Have a good time. You deserve it. Bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye.